Hello and welcome to the F1 News Zone, the weekly show where we round up all the biggest stories in Formula 1. We are currently in a 2-week break between the Italian and Azerbaijan Grand Prix weekends, but which stories have been making the headlines this week? This week we'll bring you all of the fallout from McLaren's controversial team orders during the Italian Grand Prix last weekend. Max Verstappen has made his racing debut at the Nurburgring Nordschleife, and a man has been arrested after driving a Formula 1 car on public roads for 6 years. All that and a whole lot more is coming your way in today's show. If you're watching on YouTube, skip to the timestamps in the video description to watch the story that you're most interested in. And without further ado, let's dive in. So it's officially confirmed. Franz Herrmann is going to make his Nordschleife endurance racing debut this weekend. This soon, believe it or not. Of course, the Max Verstappen lookalike has done some testing around the track, and he's been very promising so far in the lap times that he's been given. There have been calls for him to be signed up to the Red Bull Formula 1 team, but Max Verstappen has declined this. Anyway, let's have a look at what Franz is going to be up to at the Green Hell over in Germany. Max Verstappen is set to make his first competitive start at the legendary Nürburgring Nordschleife, with the Dutchman confirmed for an endurance race this weekend. The 13-mile circuit, also known as the Green Hell, is regarded as one of the toughest and most dangerous racetracks in the world. Earlier this year, Verstappen quietly tested at the Nordschleife under the alias Franz Herrmann, hence what I said in the intro there, just in case there's someone who doesn't know that reference, to prepare for an eventual entry. Now, according to German outlet Automotor und Sport, that debut has been scheduled. Fresh off his surprise victory at the Italian Grand Prix, his third win this season, Verstappen will switch focus to the Nordschleife. To compete, he must first sit and pass an exam on Friday that grants him the appropriate paperwork to race. How very German of them. You must have the official documentation, which, of course, again, I'm just having a joke there. You need official documentation to be competing in any race. Something tells me he'll pass, though. If successful, when successful, Verstappen will take part on Saturday in a Porsche Cayman GT4 CS. His target is to then step up to a Ferrari 296 GT3 run by Swiss team Emil Frey Racing before the weekend is over. Special dispensation would be required for him to switch into the more powerful GT3 machine. I think he can handle it. Something tells me I think he'll be alright in that, to be honest. The move adds fuel to ongoing speculation about how long Verstappen will remain in Formula 1, as he repeatedly has spoken of his interest in competing across different categories. Red Bull advisor Dr. Helmut Marko emphasised the importance of these outside opportunities for Verstappen's state of mind. At a time when our Formula 1 car wasn't running properly, he was there with great enthusiasm, Marko told motorsport.com. It was an important distraction for his well-being. Variety is the spice of life, after all. The Nordschleife has a fearsome reputation. Formerly the home of the German Grand Prix, it was the site of Niki Lauda's fiery crash in 1976 that nearly ended his career and his life. Despite modern safety improvements, it remains a daunting test for even the most experienced drivers. Again, a man like Max is going to be fine. He's going to be absolutely fine. He's driven thousands of laps probably on his sim rig in there. He's a very experienced driver in general. He's a very good driver in general as well. I'll be fascinated to see how he gets on though. If he goes in there and wipes the floor with everybody in his category, that would really show just how good he is in pretty much any kind of machinery. To my knowledge, Max hasn't really done any other races around circuits since joining Formula 1, aside from obviously his F1 stuff, so yeah, I'll be interested to see how he gets on. But guys, let me know what you think about this. How do you think Max is going to get on? Is he going to win in this category? Is he going to win overall? I want to hear what you have to say on this either way. I've got a slightly different light setup in here for you guys. I hope you like the change. Let me know some feedback in the comments below. Do you prefer this one, or do you prefer how it was before? Personally, I think it's a lot lighter, which is good, but you can see some more reflections in my glasses, which I don't know if that's off-putting or not, but you, the viewer, tell me what you think. So we're still talking about Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri after the Italian Grand Prix. Of course, the controversial move by McLaren to swap their two drivers around because of a pit stop error that put Lando Norris behind Oscar Piastri. Now, regardless of whatever side of the fence you fall on that one, don't worry, we have spoken plenty about that this week on the channel. We can talk about this as much as we want, but the important thing is taking the drivers' opinions into this as well. And Oscar Piastri, despite protesting about it on the radio when the call came at first, he did follow that order, and he has come out since and said that he agrees with the decision, not least from a driver's point of view, but also from a team point of view as well. Not just the guys on the pit wall, but also the guys and girls that are changing the tyres around as well, the pit crew. They need to be protected as well because they are so important as well. Of course, you know, McLaren have the fastest car on the grid. There is little doubt about that. But if your pit stops are terrible, it can cost you massively during a Formula 1 Grand Prix. Let's have a look at what the championship leader has had to say about this. Full article on the F1Chronicle.com, as always. Oscar Piastri has defended McLaren's decision to impose team orders at the Italian Grand Prix, saying that it was very important to protect the crew after a pit stop error cost Lando Norris dearly. Norris had been running comfortably ahead of Piastri when a slow stop, caused by an issue securing the front left tyre, dropped him behind his teammate. McLaren quickly instructed Piastri to give the place back, a move that cost the Australian 3 points in the driver's standings, and effectively a 6-point swing, a good old 6 points like football or something. Although initially hesitant, Piastri complied and later explained why he believed it was the right call, saying, quote, "We've said many times that we don't want the chance of success just for this year. There's a big regulation change next year. We don't know how competitive we're going to be, and we don't know how competitive everyone else is going to be. Ultimately, we want the best chance to be winning the championship for as long as we're Formula 1 drivers, and we're both at McLaren for a very long time. Protecting the people around us that give us this opportunity is a very important thing. It's easy enough to put yourself second at times like that." End quote. Which is very right. I mean, there are hundreds of people in every Formula 1 team at the race, and there are hundreds of people back at the factory as well, working as well. It's, you know, some Formula 1 teams these days, in fact, they might have passed it in the case of some, you know, they're up to 1,000 people in the team altogether, which is huge. I mean, the two standouts are, of course, the two drivers, but hundreds of people's efforts go into making those cars get out on track and be competitive and safe. The 9-time race winner added that Norris had been the stronger driver throughout the race, so he had no concern in correcting the misfortune. "If we were fighting very closely for the whole race, then it's significantly different, but Lando was ahead by a few seconds for the whole race, so there's no concern from me with that." He also made a point of acknowledging the pit crew member involved in the error, protecting the people. That includes the people doing the pit stops. It's not a very nice feeling, I would imagine. So it's important to protect all of the people we have, because that's what gives us the championship hope for years to come. With McLaren firmly in the title fight, there is no title fight this season. It's over. They've won the Constructors. They could win it at Azerbaijan, I think. Maybe not. But Singapore definitely now. Piastri's comments underline the team's focus on long-term unity and resilience, even when short-term sacrifices are required. I mean, that's very mature from at the end of the day, and you know, it is a fact that he only got ahead and he only was able to fight for that position in the closing stages because of that mistake that had nothing to do with Norris. Obviously, if things were closer, if they were battling the whole time, then that's just the way things fall, unfortunately, for Lando Norris sometimes, you know. And that's what people seem to forget, you know, that without that pit stop error, Piastri wouldn't have even been that close to Norris. Yeah, maybe he might have caught him a little bit, and he was catching him a little bit before the pit stops, but if it wasn't for that, he wouldn't have even been close. And even when he did get close to him, he couldn't challenge, and people were like, "Oh, dirty air effect, dirty air effect." Well, yeah, of course, but to pass someone, you got to catch them, and you got to be faster than them, and in the dirty air, as it was, Piastri just wasn't. He wasn't quicker than Lando Norris in the end, but I'm sure I'm going to get plenty. I mean, I had so many people throwing the British bias card at me because of all this. You know, just bring it on. I just don't care. I got a UK flag in the back. People have been calling it an England flag. No, it's a UK flag. There's a difference, all right? But yeah, anyway, your thoughts in the comments below. The McLaren Monza malaise is very much still continuing. We've got a 2-week gap now before the next round in Baku, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. So there's plenty of time for people to sit on what happened at Monza. And without a doubt, the biggest discussion point from that weekend was McLaren. How they handled the situation regarding Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. The bad pit stop for Lando Norris, I've had plenty of reaction on the video. People are absolutely split. I did a video going over this on the channel just after it happened. It's pretty much a 50-50 split, straight down the middle, and I understand that it's a polarizing incident. It is something that is very much, in my opinion, damned if you do and damned if you don't. And one of the team principals in Formula 1, who is not associated with McLaren, he has no skin in the game on this one, he very much had the opinion of this, very much shares my opinion on that as well, that being Toto Wolff of Mercedes. Wolff had some very interesting words when it came to this incident and the reaction to it, urging people to be calm. It's not like Formula 1 fans to be all emotional and blowing things way out of proportion now, is it? That, of course, being some severe sarcasm there. But let's have a look at what Mr. Wolff has had to say about one of his customer teams. Wolff was quoted as saying the following after the Italian Grand Prix at Monza: "There is no right and there is no wrong. And I'm curious to see how it all ends up. You set a precedent that is very difficult to undo. What if the team does another mistake and it's not a pit stop? Do you switch them around? But then equally, because of a teammate, making a driver that is trying to catch up lose the points is not fair either." So I think we are going to get our response to whether that was right today towards the end of the season when it heats up. And I have to admit, that is something I think is pretty much undoubted. You know, there is going to be a dangerous precedent set here potentially when it comes to McLaren. What is a unforced error or an error that is worthy of swapping the cars around? Personally, for me, I'm sticking by what I said. I do believe that overall they did the right thing, but it's not 100%. You know, there will be a potential downside to this, but I also think that if they didn't do anything, they'd be accused of being in favour of Oscar Piastri. Those calls are becoming too. Formula 1 fans online are crazy. They are absolutely insane. There is no doubt about that. They'll be getting the tinfoil hats out and the conspiracies, no problem whatsoever, because it went in the favour of Lando Norris. The British bias brigade is absolutely out. It's because it's a British team. However, they're owned by people from the Middle East. They are run by an American CEO, and they've got an Italian team principal. Are they really that British? Answers on a postcard there, guys. Get them in the comments. Wolff also said that these are so-called luxury problems. Of course, Wolff knows all about these kinds of luxury problems, as he puts it, from his time managing Nico Rosberg and Sir Lewis Hamilton at the team between 2014 and 2016. Those guys did not get on a lot of the time. And he went on to say, quote, "The answer over whether managing it that way is correct is going to come towards the end of the season. It's going to get more fierce. I think if the team made a mistake, the team inverted the positions. Absolutely fair decision. On the other side, you know, what is a team mistake? What if next time around the car doesn't start up and you lose a position or whatever, or the suspension breaks? What do you do then on the next one?" So you could have a cascade of events or precedents that can be very difficult to manage, but I can only speak of how we find ourselves in this situation back on all those years we had to manage it. Again, Rosberg and Hamilton. And I think most important is to have a clear strategy. You either go like this or you go the other way around. Either way, to race or to try to balance in the most possible fair way, bearing in mind that he'll be back there at the end. You have to define whatever path you choose, and it's a luxury problem. They can't lose those championships anymore. However, he did go on to admit that Hamilton and Rosberg were very much different animals in the car, and I cannot agree more. This is the most friendly championship battle I've ever seen between Piastri and Norris, no doubt. And one thing as well, just to respond to some of the commenters in my previous video as well, people were saying that there's no way that if roles were reversed that Piastri would be allowed to overtake Lando Norris, and I wholeheartedly disagree with that sentiment. I do think if the roles were reversed, then I think Lando Norris would have been told to let Oscar Piastri overtake and go by, just like what happened in Hungary last season. Different situation, admittedly, but it has happened before the other way around, and Lando Norris did do it. So yeah, I think that should really shut the people in the comments up, don't you? Maybe not. There was a lot of news flying around over the weekend at the Italian Grand Prix, and something that kind of went under the radar was Williams putting in a challenge against the penalty against Carlos Sainz at the Dutch Grand Prix. Of course, Carlos Sainz was caught up in a controversial incident involving Liam Lawson, and he got a 10-second penalty for his trouble. In the end, it didn't really change anything. He was still not going to get any points anyway because of that crash, and at the time, a lot of commentators commentators, and to be honest, myself as well included in that too, I thought that penalty was rather harsh. To me, probably just a racing incident, if anything. I mean, the fact that they both went a lap down at that point, if anyone was to blame, I think that was more than enough punishment, really. But Williams have challenged that decision, which is a bit strange because normally these challenges come in pretty much straight away. But I think this actually came through on Friday or Saturday or something like that. It was a bit strange how it was so late. But now Williams have explained why they put this challenge in so late. Let's have a look why here on the F1Chronicle.com as always, guys. Williams team boss James Vowles has explained why the team waited until the end of the 96-hour deadline to file a right of review against Carlos Sainz's penalty at the Dutch Grand Prix. Sainz was handed a 10-second penalty and 2 penalty points. 2 penalty points for that. You're having a laugh, FIA. On his licence for colliding with Racing Bulls driver Liam Lawson at Zandvoort. Williams subsequently filed for a review, and the FIA has confirmed a hearing will take place on Friday the 12th of September, the day that I'm recording this, the day that you will probably see this, unless you see it the day after maybe, with both teams invited to present their cases. Speaking in his regular Vowles verdict debrief, great name, Vowles outlined the reasons behind the timing, saying, quote, "The decision to do a right of review actually took place on the Monday. I wanted to make sure we reflected on it on the Sunday, not overreact, but rather look back through the footage on Monday, have a chat with Carlos before making a decision to go ahead. You need information effectively that wasn't available to the stewards at the time of the decision, and that information has to be new and it has to be significant. Onboard footage, helicopter footage, other angles, all of that was available to the stewards at the time, and therefore doesn't comply with the requirement," end quote. Yeah, I remember it was strange because we didn't see the onboard from Sainz's car. I think we did see it from Liam Lawson, but we didn't see it from Sainz, or the other way around. There was a camera angle that wasn't available at the time, which was really strange. I mean, I don't know whether the stewards got it. Apparently they did, going off of what Vowles said, but it was strange how the viewers didn't get it. We've had this a few times with controversial incidents where certain camera angles haven't been available, and I just don't get it in this day and age. Seriously? With the technology in Formula 1, are you having a laugh? We've got a drone flying above the circuit, giving us incredible shots of the track, and you can't get one onboard camera for one of your cameras. I don't get why that's a thing. Vowles added that much of the time was spent assessing whether the new and significant evidence could be gathered, saying, quote, "We're respectful of the FIA and the stewards in the circumstance. This is not something we want to pull together in a matter of minutes, but rather make sure that we're putting forward a comprehensive case that is worth their time in order to talk through," end quote. The outcome of the right of review will determine whether the stewards reopen the case against Sainz and reconsider the penalty. Until then, Williams insists its approach has been measured and deliberate, aimed at ensuring fairness rather than rushing to challenge the decision. And I am sure there will be somebody in the comments saying, why are they bothering to review this? He's got a penalty. He didn't get any points anyway. Sainz is rubbish. All this rubbish, basically. You know, it's not about this penalty, really. It's not about the outcome of this one. It's about the principle of it, you know, this kind of ethos, this kind of thinking, you know, and they said that in their statement, you know, they want to know and they want to make sure about the regulations around all this, the thinking behind the decision to give Sainz a penalty. It's the principle of it rather than the actual punishment itself. They don't really care that Sainz finished 13th instead of 12th or whatever, you know. It doesn't really change anything from their point of view. Nil point is still nil point. However, it's the principle of it. And there could be an incident like this in the future that could cost William points, and then people will ask, well, why didn't you challenge this decision back at Zandvoort? Why didn't you say something then? So they're saying something. So any kind of update, guys, I will bring you it here on the channel. As always, have a fantastic day wherever you're on the world today. It's weird not having F1 back this weekend, but hey, we got Baku next weekend, of course. I'm just going to say it right. I'm just going to say it outright. And it might make people think, you know, what is this guy doing? How can he say this about a criminal, a man who has been arrested? This guy's a legend. I'm sorry, but he absolutely is. This is the story of someone who drove a Ferrari Formula 1 car on public roads for 6 years. The police have finally arrested this man after 6 years. And it's a sad day. It's a sad day. This is a beautiful Ferrari Formula 1 car, you know. It's like the Cars film, isn't it? It's a Ferrari, you know. It's just the best. It just absolutely is. And unfortunately, my man has been arrested. What a legend. Rest in peace, my friend. No, he's not rest in peace. He's not dead. But anyway, let's get into this one, guys. Let's get into this because this is this is wild to say the least. Police in the Czech Republic have finally arrested a 51-year-old man who spent 6 years driving a legitimate Formula One race car on public highways. The Ferrari liveried race car had been spotted on Czech motorways since 2019, becoming a local legend and every petrolhead's secret hero. Not even a secret hero. He's a downright hero. He's an absolute legend, like I said. I mean, this is incredible, right? I mean, it's one of them things where it's just like, oh yeah, so I was driving home from work today and I saw someone driving a Formula One car. The people will be like, oh, shut up, man. You're not telling the truth. You're tripping. There's no way that's true. But it turns out it was, unlike the Loch Ness Monster, unlike Bigfoot, this is actually real. I'm sorry, people who believe Bigfoot's real. He just isn't. It just isn't. But that's a separate video for a different channel. But yeah, this is incredible. So this guy had been driving this car for 6 years on roads in the Czech Republic, and he kept his identity a secret under the racing helmet, a bit like Stig on Top Gear from back in the day. And he was arrested at his home in Buk in Czech Republic after the police tracked him from a gas station. Boo! Boo you, Czech PD. This is not the kind of crimes you should be looking for. Why don't you fight some real crime here? Huh? What harm is this guy doing? The craziest thing about this all is that even though he was remaining anonymous, he actually posted all of his journeys on YouTube. There's a channel called Track Zone, and he basically posted them all with his son on there. So he wasn't even hiding. He was literally hiding. I mean, he's in a bright red Formula One car. You can't really be that innocuous. But when we say Formula One car, it's actually a 2006 Ferrari Dallara GP F1 prototype, one of only two in the entire world. A lot of people actually thought initially that it was a Formula 2 car. Now, and I'm sure there's going to be some people saying, clickbait, you lied, you said it was an F1 car. It is, but it never actually competed in Formula 1. See, Dallara wants to try and get back into Formula 1 as an actual constructor. Previously, they had constructed chassis for a few different teams and supplied them with that. Dallara also, I think, supplied like Formula 2 chassis and stuff like that. They've done a lot of work over the years, Dallara. And basically, they wanted to get back into F1, and it didn't end up happening. But the chassis that they actually made did still exist. They didn't get rid of it, and one of them has been in the Czech Republic, as it turns out, for the last few years. And it has got a proper Formula 1 engine. It's got a 2.4 litre V8 engine with nearly 800 horsepower, which is the same engine that Formula 1 ran in 2006 as well. He even claims that 2007 Formula 1 world champion Kimi Räikkönen was actually involved in a test for this. To help it run on the roads, he did make some modifications. He took off the original Formula 1 wing and fit a Formula 2 wing instead, just to give it some better ground clearance to help get over those speed bumps. They claim as well that they bought it from British hill climb racer David Hauser. Now you're probably wondering, why did he get arrested? What did he do wrong? Well, isn't it obvious? It's not exactly legal, is it? You can't really put a license plate on it, and unfortunately there's a lot of things on that car that were not road legal, which is sad, but yeah. So basically the police have arrested him for driving a car knowingly for years without it being road legal. So unfortunately, tragically, this is now a thing of the past. But yeah, crazy stuff, guys. What's the craziest car that you've seen driving out on the roads where you thought, that doesn't seem road legal? That doesn't seem road legal at all. I want to hear your stories in the comments below. I mean, it's a sad one, but, don't be sad it's over. Be happy that it happened in the first place. Oh, this has gone down absolutely, totally well in the world of Formula 1 this weekend. It was announced that the Monaco Grand Prix has an extension in the sport all the way until 2035. We've got at least another 10 Monaco Grand Prix on the way. I believe before they had a contract until the end of the 2031 season, so another 4 years of Monaco, something that totally will not divide the fan base at all, and it definitely hasn't this weekend. But let's have a look at the official announcement, guys, and what I think about this, whether I think this is the right move for Formula 1, because spoiler alert, I do think it's the right move for Formula 1, but not necessarily because of racing reasons. Find out at the end of the video what I mean by that. Formula 1 has today announced an extension of the Monaco Grand Prix until 2031, inclusive building on the existing agreement with the Automobile Club of Monaco that ran through until 2031. The Monaco Grand Prix, which is one of the sport's most enduring races, having featured on the World Championship calendar in Formula 1 in its inaugural year, in 1950 has given the sport iconic memories and incredible triumphs and heartbreak. Since those early days, the Circuit de Monaco has demanded the ultimate skill and concentration from the drivers, and combined with its glamour and unique setting, the race in Monte Carlo is recognised as one of the most famous sporting events in the world, and of course is one of the 3 points in the Triple Crown of motorsport. In 2024, hometown hero Charles Leclerc created history when he became the first Monegasque in Formula 1 history to win the Grand Prix, and this year Lando Norris secured his first ever win in the Principality. From the rest of the current lineup of drivers, Fernando Alonso, Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen have all won multiple times on the streets of Monaco too. They join legends including Ayrton Senna, Alain Prost, Michael Schumacher, Niki Lauda, Sir Jackie Stewart and Graham Hill, who have all triumphed around the 3.3km circuit. The paddock and the F1 Paddock Club have both seen significant investment to provide an extensive range of packages for fans to enjoy the glamour of the race in comfort, and in a first this year, F1's global partner MSC Cruises Explorer 2 ship was docked in the heart of Port Hercule, offering guests a prime spot by the paddock throughout the race weekend and a series of events around the race. Yeah, interesting one there, guys. I wasn't really expecting that to happen this weekend, or maybe an extension to the Italian Grand Prix. That would have been lovely, but unfortunately was not to happen. Not quite there yet, unfortunately, with that one. But yeah, the Monaco Grand Prix, the Marmite Grand Prix, you either love it or you hate it. Now, in terms of a racing spectacle, it is absolutely drab most of the time. They tried to shake things up with the two-stop race this season, and it definitely shook things up, but not in the way they're intending, I don't think. The rule worked in terms of it making it more entertaining, but it kind of became a bit of a farce as well, to be honest. It was not very good. Yeah, very strange race for sure in that regard. In terms of qualifying, obviously it's the biggest challenge of the season. In terms of the race, it's the biggest challenge of the season as well. Qualifying, though, it's the biggest challenge on the Formula 1 calendar without a doubt whatsoever. I think it's a fantastic spectacle because of that alone. Obviously the race itself is not very entertaining, but what people fail to realise, what a lot of people don't mention, is the fact that Monaco really is Formula 1 in terms of all the sponsorship deals, in terms of contract renewals. There's so much business being done. You know, all these higher up executives rubbing shoulders with Formula 1 teams, with Formula 1 drivers, with Formula 1 itself and the representatives there too, making all these deals, all these partnerships. And whether you like Monaco or not, whether you like this aspect of Formula 1 or not, the commercialization of it, it is heavily commercialized. And to be able to go to the places we go to be able to put on the event that we are able to put on in Formula 1, and the teams have these budgets of hundreds of millions of dollars every single year, we have to have that. Love it or loathe it, that's a fact. And without Monaco, there would be a lot of different sponsors that would not get involved in Formula 1, and that's a fact. They would not ever think it's an avenue, a route for them to get into, and it's a route for Formula 1 to get into their companies, to get a presence there, and also them to have a presence in Formula 1 too. Without Monaco, we don't have that, and we don't have the embarrassment of riches we have right now in Formula 1. It's a controversial topic, but I firmly believe that. So from that standpoint, I am absolutely with Monaco being on the calendar now and forever. It's a sacrifice that I am willing to make. I would much personally rather have Monaco on the calendar than a lot of races on the calendar as well. You know which ones I'm talking about, just because I don't like those tracks. And I love the Monaco track. The problem is the cars are not built for it these days. And that's never going to change, to be honest. Formula 1 cars haven't really been built for Monaco since probably the 1960s. It's been that long. It's a very old and outdated circuit, but for better or worse, it is a necessary evil in Formula 1 these days. Maybe things will change in the new era, but I doubt it personally. But anyway, your thoughts on Monaco in the comments below, guys. Does it deserve its place on the calendar? Should it be there? I want to hear what you have to say about this. Either way, as always, like, share, comment, subscribe, guys. Have a fantastic day wherever in the world today, and we'll see you very soon.